A couple of weeks ago, I got an email from Shackleton Whiskey about going on a trip for a few days in Norway. This wasn't to visit Oslo or the fjords, but to a place called Finse, which is essentially a railway station beside a frozen lake that offers a perfect location for polar expedition training. Sir Ernest Shackleton, the legendary explorer from the heroic age of Antarctic exploration, trained at this place, Finse, and now Shackleton Whisky are inviting myself and a few other members of the press to go there and train like he did, whilst also being fed their whiskey and other drinks made by some of the finest cocktail makers around. Now the people who will be training us are Tim, Jarvis and Baz, who in 2013 recreated Shackleton's endurance expedition by crossing the Southern Ocean and climbing over South Georgia Island using the exact same equipment and clothes that Shackleton had in 1916.
So it needs to become muscle memory.
The two of them are going to teach us how to dog sled, walk in snowshoes, cross-country ski, and then build a snow hole for us to sleep in at night.
Yeah, we're doing this.
Oh, and another thing to note is Finse was used as a location for the ice planet Hoth in Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, where Luke Skywalker nearly froze to death in the snow.
Luke Skywalker has just tweeted us survival tips.
So the question I got at the end of this email was, would I be interested in going on this trip? Yes. Yes, I would. My name's Karl, I work as a freelance video editor in London, and a few years ago I started a YouTube channel of travel documentaries about my backpacking adventures around the world. This was just supposed to be a side hobby, you know, it gave me something creative to do whilst I was away, and then have a nice souvenir of my trip. But then the channel began to take off, and now my hobby work and my professional work are starting to merge and kind of meet in the middle. Wow! So I do get quite a few offers from companies and brands wanting to work together, but I've always been quite resistant to it because they essentially want to change my travel documentary channel into basically a shopping channel, just promoting and reviewing products, which is not what I want to do.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
But when this offer came in, this was something different. It was a chance to go on a mini adventure and do something unique and something that I wouldn't have ever thought of doing myself. So I'm going to be flying out from London to Oslo and meeting up with the rest of the gang there, and then we're going to be heading on the train out to Finse.
So we've arrived in Norway. It's my first time in Norway. Landed in Oslo, but we haven't got any time for sightseeing. We got straight on the train to Finse. Now, if you're wondering where Finse is, if you kind of look at a map of Norway and just sort of point your finger somewhere in the middle of nowhere, that's where we're going.
You know, I've wanted to travel to Norway for a while, but I've never considered going to Finse. I mean, I've never even heard of Finse.
Finse is an amazing place. It sits on the edge of the Hardangervidda plateau in Norway, and it's only accessible by train. And it's just a fascinating place to mimic Antarctica and to come and prepare and train for that type of environment.
This is a chance to push myself, to challenge myself, to do things I would never have done if this opportunity didn't come through. And I certainly haven't considered doing any polar expedition training because I wasn't planning on going on any polar expeditions.
We're on a 4-hour train, but luckily it's like going through the most beautiful countryside. And we're going to get to the hotel, get pampered up, a bit of luxury before tomorrow when we start trying to kill ourselves in the snow.
I think all the people who've come here as guests of White and Mackay and the Shackleton Whisky, I'd like them to go away from here with an increased sort of appreciation for what those early polar explorers went through.
So we're going to be doing, what are we going to be doing? Hiking through the snow, dog sledding, cross-country skiing, and then digging a snow hole to try and sleep in for the night and survive. So that's the rough plan.
These are the kinds of skills that those early explorers would have had, and it's all about giving people a taste of what that would have been like.
And it's going to be interesting to see how it goes because I'm a complete wuss when it comes to being cold. I have a high endurance to heat, but I can't stand the cold, which makes no sense at all when you consider I'm from the north of England, but that's the way it is. Alright, we're definitely getting towards Hoth territory now. I don't think I've ever seen as much pure snow as this. You know, a bit of mountains, plenty of mountains, glaciers, snow around, but just endless snow as far as I can see. Never seen like this. So apparently we're here. This is it. This is where we're staying.
This is us.
So we've made it to Finse. There's us, and that's about it.
Why are we here?
To die. We've come to die.
Let us know.
So yeah, this is Finse. We've made it, been dropped off. It's just where we're going to be for the next 3 nights. In the middle of, I'm just going to call it Hoth. We're in the middle of Hoth. By train. Wait! You're arming yourself.
Lollipops. Lollipops. €2 lollipops.
Symbol.
Hey guys, I'm Baz, this is Tim. I'm just going to sort you out now. Don't worry about anything for now. All you've got to do is just get in and get your room. Just check in, and then 9 o'clock we're eating, so you've got an hour just to sort yourselves out.
Check out where we are. This is Finse. This is it, right here. So, a couple of hotels, train stations, some other hotels over there. That's it. This is where we are for the next 3 days. And I'm so excited to be here. I mean, when I signed up for this trip, I was a bit nervous, wasn't really sure what I'm getting into. And maybe the next 3 days will be tough. Maybe we'll be a bit trouble, like, oh, I want to go home, I want to get warm again. But right now, I'm so excited to be here. This is great. This is absolutely great. The hotel's gorgeous. I just want to get stuck in and start exploring and doing all the crazy stuff we're going to do. But incredible. Welcome to Hoth. Well, good morning from Finse. Got here last night, had a lovely dinner, and I had a couple of drinks with everybody, and then we just all kind of just settled down, had a good night's sleep. But yeah, this is my room. This is my excessive 4-bedroom room I've got for myself. Not complaining at all though. And then the views out the windows are just insane. This morning we're gonna have breakfast, then we're gonna have a briefing and get all our kit ready for tomorrow.
Well, just an official from me, welcome to Finse. Obviously I've just been asked and tasked just to look after you guys while you're here. So that's our playground, basically. And this was just the perfect environment to mimic Antarctica. Amundsen, Shackleton, Scott, all those guys, if you were here 100 years ago, you'd have seen them out on the ice, trialling stuff that's just second nature today. But the one thing you should take away from this, and guys have not been in this environment before, nor had those guys 100 years ago. They turned up here, completely normal people like you, who'd never put on a set of skis, never put on a set of shoes, yet in a few months' time they were actually going down to Antarctica, and to be some of the first people ever to do that. It's incredible what they went through. Well, Ernest Shackleton was one of the most famous explorers from a period of time we call the Heroic Age of Exploration, which was from around 1900 to 1922. In his time, he achieved so much, absolutely outstanding.
He undertook a series of incredible journeys down in the Antarctic, the most famous of which was escaping Antarctica after his ship, the Endurance, sank, and saving all of his 27 men.
The lasting legacy with Ernest Shackleton is his ability to get himself out of a sticky situation, his leadership skills, a truly inspirational pioneer of the Antarctic age.
So we've just been kitted out with all our gear for going outside. I thought they were going to just lend us gear, but we got this to keep. Right now we're going to go try out our ski boots and get that all fitted for when we actually go cross-country skiing tomorrow.
I just want to make sure that you've got your kit fits, you know how to put it on and what it's all about and why we're using it all. And tomorrow morning we'll be doing more mobility stuff, getting from A to B, etc. Okay?
Like a shoe shop when you walk around and
Like in Clark's on your first day of school. Like.
You always feel like you should walk around in a new pair of shoes. You're like, why am I doing this?
You've got to get in the habit of not putting stuff down on the floor. Because when the winds pick up and stuff like that, you're just going to lose it. So it needs to become muscle memory. If that disappears, you're now a liability to the rest of the group, or someone else has to use their spare stuff to support you. And if other people are supporting you, then you've got it wrong. So just think about stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess the whole point of all this kit is efficiency. It requires like a third of less of your energy to move around. If you've got the snow boots on, you got the skis on, gets you around a lot quicker. We're just messing around here, but if you're on a proper expedition, you've got to save as much energy as possible. Especially if you're like Shackleton and it all goes to shit and you've got no food. And you've got to try and travel these amazing distances. You want your kit to get you around as efficiently as possible. And the stuff they had back then was terrible. It was really bad. So today we got it easy. We got all the most modern stuff. Helps you get around super easy. So yeah, looking forward to actually getting involved with that tomorrow.
Now on this trip we're learning all about Shackleton, and Shackleton tried to be the first man to reach the South Pole on an expedition between 1907 and 1909, but they didn't quite make it. They made it further south than any man had been before, but didn't actually make it to the South Pole. And then in 1911 a Norwegian explorer called Amundsen actually made it to the South Pole. He was the first guy to get there, and when they reached Antarctica they set up a base camp which they named Framheim, and they've actually built a replica of it here, right here. You can actually see it out my bedroom window. But the way that Amundsen made it to the South Pole, his technique was to use dog sleds. So what we're going to do today is have a go on dog sleds. So we're going to get the train down to the nearest town because the dogs can't make it up here right now because of the snow, like they'll be too worn out.
So I have 3 main rules. The first one, always hold on. Even if you fall.
I think we're going to do 10k, so the first 5k I'm the passenger. Zach's driving.
Oh yeah.
And then the second half I'm going to be steering and just, well, holding on for dear life probably. But just see what happens.
Yeah.
I guess
There's a break, that's all I know.
You sound excited. You're ready to go. See ya. We are going. It's pretty smooth actually. Zach's holding on for dear life up there.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty awesome though.
Yeah, this is great.
Nice and relaxing way to spend the morning really, just sit down. There's a beautiful countryside go by. I'm guessing this is a frozen lake. There we go. Sitting down was a lot more relaxing than standing up. Standing up, it's really like standing up. Sometimes the sled would just start drifting from side to side, and you're wondering if like you should be steering it, but you can't. And you try like tilting your weight, but you're not sure if you're helping or just making things worse. But we got the hang of it. It was really good fun though. Sweet.
We just
Boom.
made it.
Oh, but that was awesome. Proper bucket list kind of activity. And it's nice to do something fun and easy before we get into the more hardcore kind of survival stuff tomorrow. So we're just going to chill out here for a bit and then get the train back up to our hotel in Finse. So we got to reception and they had some like merchandise for sale, and apparently every year they have like a Star Wars festival out here. Like all the fans come out here, probably dress up in costume and just, you know, have a good time in Hoth. And I bought this hoodie right here. Visit Hoth. So I'm gonna have my Visit Hoth hoodie whilst we're out in Hoth, which is pretty cool, or kind of sad, whichever way you look at it. So we're heading over to the different hut to have an evening learning about the history of Shackleton and also the history of cocktails and sort of how alcohol and adventure and expeditions go hand in hand apparently. So this will be good to learn so I can justify all the drinking I've done on my previous trips.
Most major expeditions in the heroic age of polar exploration took quite a lot of alcohol with them, and one of the drinks that they would take, you know, back then was whiskey, which was used for special occasions, birthdays, or when they'd achieved something.
Okay, so we've just come over to this other sort of annex building for the evening to try out some amazing cocktails created by Cocktails for You. But before we do that, I haven't actually tried Shackleton Whiskey yet.
In an expedition called Nimrod, which was between 1907 and 1909, Ernest Shackleton built a hut at a place called Cape Royds. And underneath that hut, while it was being renovated a few years ago, they've discovered a fair amount of the whiskey that he took on that expedition. So White and Mackay have taken it upon themselves to remake that whiskey from that era.
The way you're supposed to have it, I believe, is have it on the rocks. That's right, Ellie's nodding, okay, that's true. But I went in there and they don't have any ice. I was like, oh no! And then I was like, wait a minute, look where we are. So, let's get some ice. I hope I like this. I'll just act.
White and Mackay remade it and it became very successful. And on the basis of that, they decided to do a second release of whiskey called the Shackleton Whiskey to honour the great man.
I'm not like a whiskey connoisseur, but that is very good.
Then we had the guys from Cocktails for You make us a 400-year-old recipe that we may not like, but it's created with the same ingredients and techniques that adventurers of the past may have used.
And so this is a drink that was served in colonial times because it contains all the things your sort of body needs, from the fat from salts, from sugar. This is just pure energy in your face. What you would do is you would get this concoction of eggs, and then you would put the poker into the, whatever thing that you had, and the high heat from the poker would caramelize the sugars. And this would be sort of the one-stop meal that travelers would get. It's like, liquid scrambled eggs. What do you think, Tim? Would that keep you going?
Yeah, it tastes like you've had a hot poker stuck in the...
Let's give it a try. Yeah. I highly recommend this. I fully endorse this product. Alright, who wants some?
That is a hard no.
No, the scrambled egg I don't want. Okay. I'm trusting you.
That's good.
It's good. I love it. I can fully endorse this product as well.
This whole thing and this whole expedition that we're doing this week is built around the great man, Shackleton. In 1914 to 1916, Shackleton planned to be the first person to cross the entire Antarctic continent on foot. It had never been done. Shackleton put a team together of 28 men, got a ship called the Endurance, and headed down to South Georgia in 1914. He never made it. The ship got trapped in the sea ice, the pack ice, and before long, it crushed the ship to pieces and sank it to the bottom of the sea. They then had to move and live on the ice shelf. Now, nobody on Earth knew what was happening. There was no method of communication, there was no radios. On board that ship were 3 lifeboats he then used to transport those guys to the nearest land that he could get to. He then had to take 6 men in one of those lifeboats and take them 800 miles in a tiny boat not designed for sailing in any way, shape or form across the roughest, most inhospitable ocean on the planet. And for some unbeknown reason, he managed to make it to a place called South Georgia, where they started the expedition, but the wrong side of South Georgia. He then had to internally cross the mountain range. Never been stepped on before, completely uncharted, no maps, no one had ever been there. They were not mountaineers, and they had no real mountaineering gear to speak of. Yet he had no choice to get to the other side, to raise the alarm. He then immediately set about trying to put into effect a rescue to get back to Elephant Island to actually pick these guys up. It was described by Sir Edmund Hillary as the most remarkable survival journey ever told. And on the 100th anniversary, his granddaughter, Alexandra Shackleton, made a bequest to Tim Jarvis to try and put together an expedition to recreate authentically the expedition, going back using only what they had.
And it began a long process of thinking about, could we do this? Could we really rebuild Shackleton's small lifeboat and get from the Antarctic to the sub-Antarctic island of South Georgia, having navigated using traditional techniques and then climbing through the mountains of South Georgia using the same equipment. And I have to say, it was a bit of a interesting journey. I mean, really had 2 big storms on the Southern Ocean, and when the sea is 3-4 times the height of the ceiling to floor in here of wave height, and you're in a boat with no keel, and you just get hit by waves that you don't even see until they hit you, and then you're suddenly in knee to thigh deep 1 degree Celsius seawater, and you're bailing using a bucket or a brass bailing pump to try and get that water out, and you're standing in leather boots in a space the size of a double bed with 6 men. There's no lying down, there's sitting, you're all being violently sick. You have 15 millimeters of wooden planks between yourself and the 1 degree Celsius of the Southern Ocean, and the cold and the damp and everything gets through, and it's a really unpleasant, difficult environment in which to try and function. The whole journey was really about estimating our speed and direction of travel and to actually find South Georgia. It was a little dot in the ocean. We reached there, and the 3 of us did the crossing of South Georgia like Shackleton did, where he had no map, he had no climbing ability, he had no climbing equipment. It took 96 hours of climbing, and we got to the whaling station at the end, and frankly we were just humbled by what we managed to achieve, because we couldn't believe what Shackleton had done before us. He'd lost his ship, he'd lost the dream of crossing Antarctica, he'd left 22 men on Elephant Island, no one knew where he was, and he'd done much more than we did. You know, the thing about the Antarctic or the mountains generally, they don't care about you as a person. Doesn't matter if you're doing a thing for cancer or, you know, some sort of charitable thing and you've got 2 children, or you know, Antarctica doesn't care. You know, you're either good enough or you're not good enough. And so it's a very clean, honest experience. It's you working either against or with the environment. You know, you acquaint yourself with a far more resourceful version of your own person that emerges when you put yourself in those difficult situations, and it's an interesting experience.
Well, it's another beautiful morning here in Finse. After listening to Tim and Baz speak last night about everything they went through, it's like, whatever they throw at us today, we'll just get on with it because we got it so easy. Today's like the big one, it's like the main event, so we're going to be cross-country skiing down across the lake and then over the hills there, and that's where we're going to build our snow hole to sleep in. So yesterday we quickly learned how to put our snowshoes and our skis on. This morning we're going to be trained in actually using them, so that this afternoon we can actually get out to where the snow hole's going to be.
So what we're going to do is we're just going to head over here, guys, and then up and down a couple of times that steep slope.
How to go using snow boots, plenty of time for them, they're dead easy, love them. Yes. Right, this is without shoes. Yep, snowshoes are better. But then the skiing, my God, it's just like a good reminder of how unbelievably unfit I am. It's been the first time I've worn skis since I was 12, so 1996. When we put them on, we tried to do it without the ski poles at the start, and I fell over straight away because I was trying to like push back like you do when you're walking, and then that's completely wrong. You just got to lock your feet in and then glide forward. Once I got that done, I was okay. I got about all right. I'm not saying I was good, but I got about all right. But it is absolutely shattering. I'm exhausted. But it's good fun though. It's good fun. Right, it's time for the main event. We're going to be skiing over that hill to where our snow hole is going to be. We're going to build the snow hole this afternoon, set up the camp, come back here for dinner in the evening, then head back out at night time, do a bit of night navigation, and sleep out there amongst the snow underneath the stars tonight. It's going to be awesome. All right, we're kind of at the halfway point, would you say? Halfway? Just as I was getting used to gliding, we now got the skins on to slow us down, but it's going to help us get up that hill.
Team's ready?
All right, we've made it to our campsite. The snow hole is that little gap over there. So here's the deal, we've set up our sort of base camp tent where we've got all our supplies and gear in. But the plan for tonight is not to sleep in a tent. We can if we want. The plan for tonight is to sleep in this snow hole right here, which we're just digging out right now.
Digging shelters in the snow tend to be survival shelters because you've got exposed, and it's a technique you can have in your back pocket in order to get yourself out of the environment. Because building them properly, it'll be a damn sight warmer and a damn sight more comfortable and quieter than sitting in that tent when there's a massive wind and storm pushing through you. And if they're built correctly in the right type of snow conditions, they'll be really safe as well. So we're going to get in. It's a routine that we just keep rotating because it can be quite hard work.
Right, I'm about to go in for the first time, start building our home from the inside. You alright?
Going well.
So, this is going to be our home for the night. It's going to be very cozy in here tonight. Surprisingly warm though. We got grass here, then we got a little snow hole there. Hi. That's the outside world. Well, the hole's pretty much ready, I think. But yeah, so we're gonna ski back to the hotel now, lovely meal, and then come back out here for the night.
Just made it back to the hotel after cross-country skiing back here. It's the weird thing about this trip, like, so we set up the snow hole. Now I'm gonna have a shower, and then we're gonna have like a lovely dinner, cocktails, then we're gonna have cocktails in a hot tub. Then I'm gonna shower up again, get the snow gear back on, and ski out there at night and sleep out there at night. So it's like luxury survival, but yeah, first thing I did when I got back was order a beer, so cheers. So as I've been saying, they used Finse here for the location of Hoth in Empire Strikes Back, which is the 2nd or 5th Star Wars film, depending on how you look at it, but it is the best one. And they were out here filming around the location around here all the time, but there was one day when like a massive blizzard came in and they couldn't even leave the hotel because they were staying at this hotel. And the doors got blocked by like, you know, a few feet of snow. No one could get outside. But they still managed to get a shot that day because all the crew got to stay inside and they pointed the camera out the doorway, and then Mark Hamill had to walk up the snow out the doorway, and they used that shot for him escaping the Wampa cave. So they all got to stay inside cozy and warm whilst Mark Hamill got to freeze to death going outside to get the shot, which I think is how we're going to feel when we go and stay out in the snow hole whilst other people stay back in the hotel here. I tweeted Mark Hamill like, right, we're about to spend the night in a snow hole in Finse, Norway, otherwise known as Hoth from Empire Strikes Back. Mark Hamill, you got any survival tips? He replied, Luke Skywalker just replied to my tweet, just saying avoid any wampers, which is a little nerdy reference for you there. So I said, alright, thanks, I'll keep a lookout.
That's really cool.
Luke Skywalker's just tweeted us right here in Hoth.
I can't believe that is so good.
Thank you, Mark Hamill, thank you. Yes!
Yesterday we had a speech, so today we said we're going to do completely different. When you were all away, we did something. So watch that video and guys, you see what we've done today. Today we're going to try how to go down the hill without spilling the whiskey. Oh! We're going to have a party down there. Right guys, for a Shackleton. Oh! Bend your knees. Whoa, yeah! Work like a suspension. Ah, sip of whiskey. Wow, super cool. Give me five. Yeah! Pour. Babe, that's how you fucking do it.
I just want to remind everyone of the order of play for this evening. So we're having some delicious cocktails prepared by Cocktails for You.
To Hoth.
Yeah, to Hoth. Then we go in a hot tub to have some more cocktails. Then we cross-country ski in the dark across a frozen lake and try and sleep in a snow hole. They're fucking getting a hot tub out here. Quickly!
It's fucking hot.
If it's too hot, put some snow in.
Fucking around with a shovel.
I can't believe it's that warm.
There we go. Give me the money. Oh, this is nice now. Like wash yourself with snow.
You need at least a couple of shovels. Here, buddy, you don't want to talk. Yeah.
Oh shit, man.
Anyone else want to come in?
We sold it so well.
Unfortunately, I forgot, man. We were drunk.
Did I tell you guys about the time Mark Hamill tweeted me?
That is genuinely the most impressive thing that's happened.
Right, it's time to do it. It's time to get out the snow hole. I am absolutely shattered from today. See you on the other side, guys.
Good luck.
Look at all these lazy people. Lazy. Right. Skis on. Bye to the hotel. Not gonna be able to film along the way, but see you on the other side. We're out amongst it now. No turning back now, right in the middle. Going good so far. Alright, we have made it to the tent. The ski across was alright actually. Had a little fall on the way up. That bit on the way up seemed to last a lot longer than today. But also we could actually see where we're going really.
I think it's because we couldn't see, yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't see, but we're here. I think the hard bit's done.
Yeah.
We're here now.
This is the good one.
Boys feeling good?
Yeah, feeling good, feeling excited.
Sweet.
Really good, yeah.
Okay. Welcome to our home. So, this is where we're sleeping tonight. That's the exit. Just got to set up the sleeping bags and mats, and then we're
Just 5 hours really. That's all we've got to do is get through 5 hours. How are we feeling about sleeping in the snow hole?
Feeling pretty great about it actually. This exceeds expectations. We got some nice ambiance here.
Yeah. Just need some like sort of chill out music on.
Yeah,
Got a ventilation hole.
Can't see it, ventilation hole just there.
Candles here for oxygen.
Yeah.
Not just ambiance, is the main reason.
Yeah, so if the candle goes out, it means we're gonna die. So
I think we're actually, no matter what, we'll be good.
Yeah, we've got a big entrance. Hopefully it's gonna be warm enough. My feet are freezing already, but yeah, we're doing this. Night, guys. Night. Well, good morning from the snow hole. We did it, made it. It was warm enough in here. I had a shitty night's sleep. That's what we woken up to. The snow hole's just down there. There's a hotel back there that we're going to ski back to. It's incredible. How lucky we be. It's freezing, but it's beautiful. I mean, waking up this morning, once we got outside the snow hole, was so cold. Like, probably the coldest I've ever been. Couldn't feel my hands, couldn't feel my feet. Just doing the last of the packing up. Then we're going to ski back. Doing the cross-country skiing back, you know, it's a workout, and then by the time we actually got back here, I was warmed up again. I could feel it in my fingers and feel it in my toes. So, yeah, I'm shattered, absolutely exhausted, but I'm so glad I did it. It's been an incredible experience, just unbelievable.
That was the bizarre thing about this trip, not just the switching back and forth between survival and luxury, but it was also super fast paced because, you know, we got back from the ski hole, had a quick shower and breakfast, and then within the hour, I was on the train home and it's like, oh, that's it, we're done, that just happened. But it was great to just get a tiny little taste of some of the things those explorers did. I mean, we were obviously never in danger, and that's the whole point of Finse, is you can prepare for Antarctica within a safe environment. And even though we got to physically do some of the exercises they may have done, the one thing we couldn't possibly experience is the mental battles they went through. Because we were out there just for one night, but they were in those conditions for like days and weeks and months, and Shackleton's case for over a year.
It was a challenge. I had to push myself a bit, but compared to what these guys have done, it's absolutely nothing.
So I just went home with an unbelievable amount of admiration and respect for what they did. But it was a brilliant 3 days. I mean, Baz and Tim looked after us so well. We were so lucky to be trained by people with their background and experience. And I could fact we spent a couple more days in Finse just hanging out with not just them, but everybody else on our trip, because we had a really fantastic group of people. And I mentioned at the start of the video my reluctance to work with brands, but if there's a story to be told and an experience to be had, then I'm all for it. You know, because these few days are something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, so I'm just incredibly grateful for this opportunity.
But we got the hang of it. It was really good fun. Such a beautiful place to do it as well.
Having said that, I am going to be mixing it up a little bit for my next trip, because after literally sleeping in the snow, I'm now going to be heading towards beaches and sunshine in Central America, and in fact, I'm leaving tomorrow. See, bags nearly packed all there. So yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.